I always felt strongly that the show should reflect Jarod's intellect. Jarod could process a lot more information than a lot of us could. His mind just didn't work like ours. And I think also it was a function of, how TV was evolving. I mean, we started when ER came on, and ER kind of took that whole sort of multiple storyline thing to the nth degree. I think that sort of had started with Hill Street Blues. Hill Street Blues was the first show to say, we're going to have 4 plots in this episode. Usually it was 1 story for an hour or maybe 2. And, a lot of shows in the 90s started to really open that up. So you kind of had freedom to do a lot of different threads and have a lot of different things going on. So I kind of embraced that.
In this season, as opposed to the first 3, Jarod had been out for 3 years. And the reality is his character has evolved to a point where we could no longer really play too much into the things we did in the early seasons, the self-discoveries. It was really easy in the first season to have him find an Oreo cookie and never had an Oreo cookie or never had ice cream. 3 seasons in, you've pretty much found everything you're going to find. So we wanted to have his character mature, and as his character matured, we wanted to have his character find things about the other characters that would help them understand his own maturity and the maturity that their characters and the evolution their characters had gone through. So the audience always thought, they wanted to get him back. But we never explained why on purpose, because we wanted the audience to fill in their own blanks on that.
Do you believe in miracles, Miss Parker?
I believe in revenge. Now tell me, why did you try and kill Daddy?
A selfish, misguided act. But it came from above, as God is my witness.
This kindness crap may slam at the parish potluck, but it ain't cutting it with me.
Then I'll turn the other cheek.
That scene was so meaningful to me. I prepared deeply for that scene in particular because it had such great importance for the characters. I was so angry and disturbed as Miss Parker, having to deal with the man who murdered her mother, that I was asked to reshoot it. I think that they felt once they were in the editing room, it was a little too much. I don't know if it was too much for TV or too much for the character or whatever they felt, but I was asked to reshoot that scene in particular, and I was really upset about it. And we ended up reshooting it, but in my heart, the first take was better.
Tell me why.
She doesn't kill him because she's taken aback by the fact that he's suddenly... he's a totally changed man. He tells her that he's found God, and he's convincing. He convinces her.
We thought it would be nice to have Nosferatu come out with a Bible and to have found God and to really, in many ways, make himself even that much scarier. All of a sudden, it's like he literally found religion. And how would this guy be like Mengele finding religion? It's like, it just doesn't make sense. And it was one of those things we wanted just to have the audience just bubbling underneath going like, we know he's going to put this down. We know it's a ploy, but why?
It was just such a right move to do that to Mr. Raines' character. We'd taken him, he's so devious and so in your face, mean and all this. We wanted to see another side of that guy. And Richard Marcus, who plays Mr. Raines, did a wonderful job. We love to keep surprising the audience because that's what keeps you coming back and keeps the show fresh. And just when you think you know who this guy is and what's going on, he could pull the rug out and he's totally somebody different. But is he really somebody different or is he not? And that's, again, those are the questions. If you answer a question, you got to make sure you raise 20 more. So I think she was surprised by how serene he was. And there was something in that stopped her from doing it.
There's something in Raines that and it might have something to do with DNA, who knows. But Raines and Miss Parker have a certain connection that goes deeper than the fact that Raines is the most evil human being on the earth.
Mr. Raines washing Willie Galt's feet to shoot that on stage was one of the most hilarious things we ever shot because it was just so bizarre. And for Willie, it was like, the idea of having this crazy little bald man washing his feet was pretty hysterical.
You could open a lot of doors on a show like that. You always had weirdness in abundance. You could open up all these doors, but the problem was that eventually you had to close them. And that's where all those sort of lunatic connections began to get made, like Mr. Parker and his sperm being frozen and his real father and the mother talking from the grave. I mean, now we got to close some of these ideas, and we had to go way out to get some of those doors shut. But the audience seemed to be in a frame of mind to say, it's okay, let's go. We've accepted all this craziness up until now. Why stop? You know, let's finish it that way.
It was one of those, this is just odd. There's a little bit of a slight sexual overtone to it. And yet it's just bizarre. And sometimes we would do that. Sometimes we would just, wow, I don't know where that comes from or what it means, but let's throw it in there and see what happens. And it was just because it's odd and bizarre. So we would, 9 times out of 10 when those ideas came up, we would just do it.
But the core was always this humanity, though. You know, it was always driven on an emotion, you know, love or hate.
Walk barefoot. Yes. 3, crow, toes, foot. Walk barefoot. You can break free of the hold he has over you. Just listen to her voice. You have a family now, a real family. We'll always be there. Now tell me, where is the bomb?
We wanted to leave it with a major surprise, which was they have a brother who is being corrupted by Rains, and can Jarod and Miss Parker, you know, can they do something with this kid to save him? And of course the major explosion in the subway, did they live or did they die? So that's kind of, the idea was always to leave it with a big cliffhanger for next season. Well, the surprise was on us when they decided to do the XFL and took over Saturday night and we were gone. So that was obviously a big disappointment.